Breaking chains. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council hummed with the murmurs of over 500 species representatives. The massive chamber, carved from a single asteroid and reinforced with quantum-stabilized materials, floated in the neutral space of the Orion Arm, supposedly a symbol of unity and cooperation among spacefaring civilizations. Ambassador Elena Reyes stood motionless at the center of the speaking platform. The holographic lights bathed her dark skin in a pale blue glow as she waited for the chamber to fall silent. At 48, she had spent nearly half her life in these halls, fighting for Earth's voice to be heard. Today would be her last appearance. The High Minister, a tall, willowy being with translucent skin and 4 arms, wrapped their ceremonial staff against the floor. The Assembly recognizes Ambassador Reyes of Terra System. You may address the Council. Elena's voice, steady and clear, carried through the chamber without artificial enhancement, a small act of defiance against the technological dependence the Council encourage. For 300 years, humanity has been a member of this Galactic Council. We joined with hope and optimism, believing we had found our place among the stars. Today, I stand before you to announce that, as of 600 Universal Standard Time, Earth has formally withdrawn from the Galactic Council. All treaties, trade agreements, and mutual defense pacts are hereby dissolved. The chamber erupted. Representatives leaped to their feet. Those who had feet, while others flashed colors of alarm or emitted pheromones of distress. The High Minister's staff pounded repeatedly, the sound barely cutting through the cacophony. This is outrageous, bellowed the Zentari ambassador, his crystalline form pulsing with angry red light. The withdrawal process requires council approval and a 50-year transition period. Elena remained unmoved. Those requirements were added to the charter without Earth's consent during the Sirius Convention. Our legal experts have identified 37 violations of the original membership agreement by the Council in the past century alone. These violations nullify any subsequent amendments. The Vexillian Trade Minister, a small insectoid being, chittered loudly. Without Earth's agricultural exports, the Cygnus sector will face immediate shortages. This is economic terrorism. Perhaps you should have considered that before voting to increase Earth's resource quotas by 300% while reducing our technology import rights, Elena replied, her voice still calm but with an edge of steel. Humanity has contributed to this council for 3 centuries. For 3 centuries, we have been systematically marginalized, exploited, and deceived. She tapped the neural interface at her temple, projecting data streams into the air around her. Complex charts and graphs materialized, spinning slowly for all to see. Earth provides 32% of the Council's food resources, but receives only 3% of technological imports. Our innovations are classified as primitive developments, yet mysteriously appear in Council products months later. Our colonies are restricted while other species freely expand into territories we discovered. Our military capacity is limited by quotas that don't apply to founding members. The High Minister finally restored a semblance of order. Ambassador Reyes, this action threatens the stability of the entire galactic community. Surely we can negotiate. The time for negotiation ended when we discovered the monitoring implants. Elena interrupted, causing another wave of murmurs. Yes, we found them. The neural influence devices embedded in our educational systems, the surveillance technology hidden in the cultural exchange artifacts. For centuries, you've been subtly controlling our development, harvesting our creativity while ensuring we remain dependent. The Arcturus representative, a being composed of what appeared to be living metal, rose from their seat. Humans simply lack the perspective to understand galactic politics. This impulsive behavior proves why your species requires guidance. Elena's laugh was sharp and bitter. Guidance? Is that what you call manipulation and exploitation? Our decision is final. Earth's borders remain open to bilateral trade agreements with individual species. All Council military bases in Earth territory must be vacated within 30 days. All Council monitoring equipment must be removed within 15 days. She looked around the chamber one last time, meeting the eyes, optical sensors, and sensory organs of dozens of species. Earth stands on its own now. With that, Elena stepped down from the platform and walked toward the exit, flanked by her small security detail. Captain Maya Wong, head of her protection team, moved close. "Security drones are tracking us," she whispered. "Multiple species representatives are attempting to block the exits." Elena nodded slightly. "Expected. Activate Protocol Exodus." At her command, the small quantum communicator in her pocket sent a single encrypted signal. Throughout Council space, human diplomats, scientists, and civilians were simultaneously boarding pre-positioned ships and departing for Earth. The exodus had begun. As they approached the diplomatic shuttle bay, Deputy Ambassador Julian Espinosa fell into step beside Elena. "Did we do the right thing?" he asked quietly, his normally confident voice tinged with doubt. Elena's eyes remained forward, her pace never slowing. "We didn't have a choice, Julian. You saw the evidence. They've been holding us back while taking everything they could. It's time humanity charted its own course." As their shuttle pulled away from the massive Council station, news of Earth's departure was already racing across subspace communications. Throughout the galaxy, beings of all species stopped what they were doing as alerts flashed on their devices. Earth had left the Council, and nothing would be the same again. 2 weeks after Earth's withdrawal, Admiral Sophia Chen stared at the holographic display in Earth Fleet Command's Central Operations Room. Red dots blinked near the edge of human space. Each dot represented an alien vessel, and there were far too many of them. "They're testing our borders," said Captain David Okafor, her second in command. "Nothing overtly aggressive yet, but definitely not normal patrol patterns." Sophia nodded, her eyes never leaving the display. "Increase our presence near New Eden Colony. If they're looking for weakness, let's not show any." In Washington, D.C., President Marcus Diaz faced a very different battle. His office was filled with angry voices as representatives from various Earth industries demanded answers. "The Zentari Federation has canceled all rare mineral shipments," shouted Luisa Mendez, head of the Manufacturing Alliance. "My factories will be idle within 2 months. The medical technology we were promised from the Arcturus Guild will never arrive now," added Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, his voice quieter, but just as worried. President Diaz raised his hands. "Please, everyone. We anticipated these reactions. Secretary Patel has already secured alternative supply lines through independent traders in the outer systems. Yes, there will be disruptions, but we prepared for them." He walked to the window overlooking the Capitol. "For too long, we've relied on Council connections that came with hidden costs. Now we can deal directly with those who respect us as equals." Far away on Mars Colony, the situation was more dire. Governor Michel Baptiste watched as yet another ship of alien refugees landed at Olympus Port. These weren't tourists or business people. They were families seeking asylum. "That's the 7th ship today," said Deputy Governor Hiroshi Tanaka, scrolling through his tablet. "They're mostly from smaller species, Nebulan refugees, some Triskelion merchants, a few Galadorian academics." "What are they saying?" Michel asked, though she already knew the answer. "The same story as the others. Anti-human sentiment is spreading through Council space. Many who had human friends or business partners are being harassed or worse." "Find room for them," Michel said, "and get me Earth Central. We need more security here." Meanwhile, in a secure conference room beneath the Pentagon, General Wei Zhang reviewed classified documents with growing alarm. As head of the newly formed Earth Defense Initiative, he had initially opposed Earth's withdrawal. Now the evidence before him changed everything. "These schematics," he said to his aide, Commander Fatima al-Zahrani. "Every major human city has these devices embedded in their infrastructure. How did we miss this?" Commander al-Zahrani asked, her face pale as she studied the diagrams. "We didn't miss it. replied Dr. Emily Nakamura, head of Earth's Counterintelligence Division. Look at the signatures. Our security teams were routinely memory wiped after Council diplomatic visits. These devices emit subtle neurological influencers. They can dampen innovation in specific technological areas or encourage certain political decisions. General Zhang leaned back in his chair. So they've had influence agents altering our development for centuries. Does the president know this? He does now, Dr. Nakamura said grimly. That's why he supported the withdrawal. On the other side of the solar system, the massive Jovian mining outpost continued its work extracting valuable gases from Jupiter's atmosphere. Engineer Carlos Riviera floated through the maintenance shaft, checking pressure seals. When he reached Junction 17, something caught his eye. An unusual device attached to the station's main communication array. He moved closer, scanning it with his tool. It wasn't human technology. The device pulsed softly with greenish light, sending data somewhere distant. "Control, this is Riviera," he called into his comm. "I found something strange on the comms array. Some kind of alien tech, definitely not authorized." "Can you remove it?" asked the controller. "I think so, but—" Carlos stopped as his scanner showed more results. "Wait. According to this, there are similar devices all over the station. They're monitoring everything: personnel movements, resource extraction rates, even private communications." He carefully disconnected the small device. "Someone has been watching us for a very long time." As Earth faced its first month of independence, these discoveries were just the beginning. The true extent of Council manipulation was still hidden, but the pieces were starting to come together. And across the galaxy, many watched and waited to see if humans would survive their daring move, or if they had signed their own destruction. Dr. Layla Hashemi had not slept in 48 hours. Her eyes burned as she stared at the screen, sorting through thousands of encrypted files recovered from a Council data node. Earth intelligence had been working nonstop since the withdrawal announcement, trying to understand what they were truly up against. "I think I found something," she said to her team. Layla opened a series of files labeled Human Containment Protocol. As she read, her exhaustion vanished. The documents detailed a 500-year plan to keep Earth's technology at a controlled level. Council agents had been instructed to redirect human innovation, suppress certain discoveries, and slowly extract knowledge for use by senior Council races. Most disturbing were the references to cognitive limitation fields installed in Earth's major research centers. She downloaded the files to a secure drive and reached for her communicator. "Director Moss, you need to see this immediately." On the Jovian mining outpost, engineer Carlos Riviera had assembled a team to search for more alien devices. They had found over 300 so far, hidden throughout the station systems. "This one is different," said his colleague Aisha Mbeki, holding up a small cylinder with glowing blue lines. The others were passive monitors. "This looks like it can actually control our systems." Carlos scanned it carefully. "It's connected to our defense grid. I think it could shut down our shields if activated remotely." Aisha's face paled. "Who would place these here? And why?" "I don't know, but they're in every major human facility I've checked so far." Carlos placed the device in a shielded container. Someone was preparing for something big. Back on Earth, Dr. Victor Kwan walked through his xenobiology lab at Sydney University. For years, he had participated in what the Council called the Interspecies Medical Exchange Program. Now he was seeing it with new eyes. He pulled up the records of the Arcturus medical projects. What had seemed like simple disease research now looked suspicious. The Arcturians had requested specific human genetic samples year after year, always from different populations around the world. Victor searched other Council research programs and found similar patterns. The Zentari had studied human brain tissue while providing educational assistance. The Galadorians had collected reproductive data while offering fertility treatments. "They weren't helping us," he whispered. "They were studying us like lab animals." Victor quickly composed a message to the government health department. This wasn't just scientific curiosity. It looked like preparation for something much worse. Meanwhile, in an upscale apartment in London, Saren Voss closed her blinds and activated her security system. As a council intelligence agent who had lived on Earth for 15 years, she was now in a dangerous position. Her cover as a technology consultant had allowed her to gather information on human defense systems, reporting back to council leadership regularly. But over the years, something had changed. She had come to admire humans, their creativity and determination, and what she had learned about council plans disturbed her deeply. Saren sat at her computer and began typing. She had access to files that could either condemn humanity or save it. The Council's true intentions were far more sinister than even the human government suspected. Her fingers hesitated over the keyboard. Sending this information to Earth authorities would be treason against the Council, punishable by death. Not sending it might doom billions of humans who had shown her nothing but kindness. Saren made her decision and began encrypting the files. Across Earth and its colonies, more discoveries came to light each day. Social media exploded with people sharing stories of strange encounters with council representatives over the years. Retired diplomats spoke of negotiations where they felt strangely compelled to agree to unfavorable terms. Scientists described having brilliant ideas that mysteriously disappeared from their minds after council cultural exchanges. The picture becoming clear was not of allies but of careful handlers keeping a potentially powerful species under control. As President Dias received the latest reports, he called an emergency meeting with Earth's military and intelligence leaders. "We need to prepare," he told them. "The Council won't let us go easily. Not now that we know the truth." Rising from ashes. 3 months after Earth's withdrawal, the Galactic Council implemented what they called economic isolation protocols. In simple terms, they tried to cut Earth off from all trade. Ships carrying goods to or from human space were stopped. Alien businesses with human connections saw their permits revoked. The Council expected Earth to beg for readmission within weeks. They were wrong. Sonia Patel, Earth's new trade commissioner, stood before the United Nations Assembly in Geneva. Her simple gray suit contrasted with the elaborate outfits worn by the few alien ambassadors still on Earth. "The Council believed we would collapse without their markets," she said, pointing to the display behind her. "Instead, our economy has already adapted. Yes, luxury imports are down 92%, but our self-sufficiency in essentials is up 45%. She clicked to the next slide, showing a map of trade routes that bypassed Council checkpoints. "And we've discovered that many worlds are willing to ignore Council directives when profitable opportunities arise. In a dusty port on the planet Vega Prime, far from Council monitoring stations, Captain Jummel Robinson supervised the loading of Earth coffee beans onto his ship. Coffee had been a minor export before, but now it was worth its weight in precious metals on certain worlds. The Phyraxian dock workers moved quickly, eager to get the cargo secured before any Council patrols appeared. "We need to launch within the hour," said First Officer Lin Chen, checking her tablet. "Our contact in the Phyraxian Combine confirmed they've opened all their ports to Earth goods. The Council is furious." Jamal nodded. "The Phyraxians have always liked humans. I guess we finally know why. We're the only ones who treat them as equals." Back on the Council station, Economic Director Jules Vax was having a very bad day. The tall, gaunt alien paced his office, all 6 of his tentacles writhing in agitation as he read the latest reports. "Impossible," he shouted at his assistants. "How are human goods still reaching the outer rim markets? We have checkpoints on every major route." His chief analyst, a winged being with compound eyes, fluttered nervously. "They are using old mining paths through the asteroid belts of the Cygnus sector. Our ships are too large to follow." "And there's more," added another assistant. "Humans have been stockpiling certain rare elements used in jump drive technology. They control nearly 70% of the galactic supply." Jolvax's skin turned from blue to pale gray, a sign of extreme stress in his species. "If they restrict those elements, half our transportation network could fail within months." On the human colony of New Eden, Governor Amara Osai welcomed a delegation of independent world's representatives. These small planets had always existed on the edges of Council influence, trading with anyone who had goods to offer. "We never much liked Council rules anyway," said the lead representative, a reptilian being named T-Lock. "Their tariffs ate most of our profits. If you humans can provide stable routes and fair prices, we're interested." Amara smiled. "We can offer better than that. Earth is establishing free trade zones around our outer colonies. No tariffs, minimal regulations, just honest business." As word of these arrangements spread, more species began questioning Council policies. On hundreds of worlds, ordinary citizens wondered why they should avoid trading with humans when their own economies were suffering under Council restrictions. Meanwhile, in her office at Council headquarters, the High Minister received disturbing news from her intelligence service. "Several Council members have been meeting secretly with human representatives," reported the security chief. "The Pharaxians are openly defying trade restrictions. The independent worlds never implemented them at all." The High Minister's luminescent skin pulsed with concern. "And the economic projections? Catastrophic, Honored Minister. If this continues, we face a 20% contraction in Council space economy over the next year. Several banking houses are already showing signs of instability." Outside her window, the magnificent view of the Council station's central ring was marred by something unusual, a protest. Hundreds of beings from smaller Council species carried signs demanding policy changes and economic relief. The Council had expected to punish Earth. Instead, they were watching their carefully controlled system begin to unravel. The Earth transport ship Horizon drifted silently, its hull torn open to the vacuum of space. Inside, 23 crew members lay dead, their bodies frozen in the airless environment. The attack had been swift and without warning. Admiral Chen's face was grim as she viewed the sensor logs. The attackers had used Council military technology, but the ships bore no official markings. "Pirates," suggested Captain Okafor, though his tone made it clear he didn't believe it. "Pirates with state-of-the-art Council destroyer technology." Admiral Chen shook her head. "This was a message. They want us to know they can strike anywhere." President Dias declared a day of mourning when the news reached Earth. In his address to the planet, he vowed that the crew's sacrifice would not be in vain. Behind closed doors, his response was more direct. "Authorize Operation Thunderclap," he told General Zhang. "It's time we showed them we're not as defenseless as they think." 3 days later, 5 Council surveillance outposts mysteriously went offline simultaneously. No debris was detected, no distress calls sent. They simply vanished from space. When Council investigators arrived, they found only empty space where the stations had been. On Earth, in a secure underground facility beneath the Himalayas, Dr. Marcus Chen made a breakthrough that would change everything. For 20 years, he had worked on quantum communication technology, never understanding why his research repeatedly hit dead ends. Now, free from the subtle influence of Council suppression devices, his mind raced with possibilities. "It's beautiful," he whispered, staring at the equations floating in holographic display before him. "We could have had this technology a century ago if they hadn't blocked us." His quantum entanglement communicator wasn't just faster than Council technology. It was untraceable. No one could intercept the signals or even detect their transmission. Within weeks, the device was in mass production, being installed on every human ship and outpost. The Council's intelligence services were suddenly blind to human communications. In the Horsehead Nebula, on the edge of human space, the colony of Proxima Nova became the flashpoint everyone had been dreading. A Council peacekeeping fleet entered the system, claiming they were pursuing pirates. Governor Ramirez knew better. "They're testing our response capabilities," she told Earth Command as the fleet of 20 warships took up positions around the colony's orbit. "But we're ready for them." When the Council ships launched their first volley of warning shots, deliberately aimed to miss the colony, they received a shocking surprise. The outdated defense grid they expected to encounter was nothing of the sort. Quantum shields flickered into existence, absorbing the energy with ease. And from the surface below, defense platforms emerged from hidden bunkers, targeting systems locking onto the Council vessels. "This is Governor Elena Ramirez of Proxima Nova," her voice transmitted to every Council ship. "You have entered sovereign human territory without permission and have fired upon a civilian colony. You have 30 seconds to power down weapons and engines, or we will consider this an act of war." The Council commander, expecting an easy show of force against a helpless colony, instead faced a decision that could start an interstellar conflict. After 25 seconds of tense silence, the Council ships powered down. News of the Proxima standoff, as it became known, spread like wildfire through Council space. The carefully constructed image of human technological inferiority had been shattered. More importantly, many Council citizens began asking why their leaders had lied about human capabilities for so long. On the Zentari homeworld, public protests against the government grew as food prices soared. The Arcturus Guild faced internal rebellion as younger members demanded reform. The Galadorian Assembly voted to establish direct trade relations with Earth. Council sanctions be damned. High Minister Zelfar called an emergency session of the Inner Council, the 12 most powerful species who truly ruled the Galactic Council. "We must crush this human rebellion before more worlds follow their example," insisted the Zentari representative. "A swift military action." "With what fleet?" interrupted the Triskelion minister. "Half our ships rely on jump crystals that only the humans can refine efficiently. Our stockpiles will last 3 months at most. Then we negotiate," suggested the Galadorian member, earning hisses of disapproval from several others. "Negotiate from weakness." The Arcturus representative's metallic form shimmered with anger. "Never. We activate the Prometheus Protocol." A heavy silence fell over the chamber. The Prometheus Protocol was their final contingency plan, developed centuries ago when humans first showed unusual potential. Embedded throughout human space were thousands of devices, carefully positioned over centuries, that could generate a subspace disruption field. The field would disable all advanced technology within Earth's sphere of influence, effectively sending humanity back to a pre-industrial state. "That would kill billions," the Phyraxian representative said quietly. "Entire colonies would starve or suffocate without their environmental systems." "Regrettable but necessary," replied the Zentari coldly. "The greater galactic order must be preserved." The vote was taken, 7 for activation, 5 against. The Prometheus Protocol would be initiated in 72 hours. What the Inner Council didn't know was that their chambers were no longer as secure as they believed. Saren Voss's defection had given Earth intelligence access to Council security codes. A quantum entanglement device, smaller than a grain of sand, had been placed in the chamber by another sympathetic agent. Every word of their meeting was transmitted to Earth Command in real time. President Diaz immediately activated Operation Phoenix, humanity's own final contingency. For months, teams of engineers had been disabling and removing the Council devices found throughout human territory, but they hadn't destroyed them all. Instead, Dr. Chen and his team had been studying them, understanding their construction, and more importantly, how to reverse their function. When the Council attempted to activate the Prometheus Protocol, nothing happened. The subspace disruption failed to materialize. Instead, throughout Council space, their own technology began to fail, starting with their central communications network, then spreading to power systems, defensive installations, and finally to their vaunted jump drive network. The Council civilization, dependent on technology they barely understood anymore, ground to a halt. "What have you done?" demanded the High Minister when the emergency communication from Earth came through on the only working channel. President Diaz's face was solemn on the view screen. "We've given you a taste of what you planned for us. The effect is temporary. Your systems will restart in 24 hours. Consider this a demonstration of what happens when you threaten humanity." In those 24 hours, the balance of power in the galaxy shifted forever. The smaller council races, seeing the mighty inner council brought low, declared their independence. The Phyraxian Combine, the Triskelion Hegemony, and dozens of other systems announced new alliances with Earth. When the council systems came back online, they faced a transformed galaxy. Nearly half their membership had abandoned them overnight. 6 weeks later, Ambassador Elena Reyes returned to the council chambers, this time not as a supplicant, but as the representative of the newly formed Sol Alliance, a coalition of Earth and 27 former council races united by principles of equal exchange and mutual respect. Humanity doesn't seek dominance, she told the subdued assembly. We never did. We only wanted to be treated as equals, to develop according to our own path, not one laid out for us by others. She extended a data crystal containing the proposed Treaty of New Beginnings. This agreement establishes free trade zones, technology sharing protocols, and mutual defense arrangements open to all who wish to join. Most importantly, it forbids any species from controlling the development of another. The High Minister, humbled but still proud, accepted the crystal. The Council has much to atone for. Perhaps this is the beginning of that process. As Elena left the chamber, she reflected on the incredible journey humanity had taken. From subjugation to independence, from isolation to leadership of a new galactic order, all in less than a year. The stars had never looked brighter, or the future more full of possibility. Humanity had broken its chains, and in doing so, had freed countless others. Together, they would build something better than the old order, a true community of equals among the stars. And if the remnants of the old council chose conflict instead of cooperation, well, humanity had proven they were more than ready to defend their newfound freedom. The age of human containment was over. The age of human potential had just begun.